All right, everybody. Well, thank you again for joining us. It's about 3:30 or 2:30 Central Standard Time where we're from, where we're at. Right now we're in San Antonio, Texas, Central Time Zone. I'll introduce myself and then I'll introduce my colleague who will be co-presenting with us today. But my name is Armando Prado. I'm the manager of enrollment and alumni services for the Feik School of Pharmacy at the University of the Incarnate Word here in San Antonio. The presentation that you're joining us today is Direct Admit Pathway Programs, Early Connection to Professional Programs. So I'll let my colleague Rochelle introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rochelle Valera, and I am one of the recruiters here at the School of Osteopathic Medicine with the University of Incarnate Wo.
So thank you everyone for joining us. So we're going to talk this afternoon about different opportunities that high school students can research and get to know more about, and kind of jumpstart your interest in any of the health professions route that you want to go to. So there's some really great programs out there in the country that will allow students to really have an early connection to these professional programs. So maybe you want to become like a physician or a pharmacist or an optometrist, right? And there's certain colleges that will have an early pathway program specifically aimed for high school seniors. So we're going to talk about those programs today. We're going to talk first a little bit about UIW, University of the Incarnate Word, and the programs that we offer. So our university was founded in 1881 by the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word to assist the underserved community of South Texas and Mexico. So the story goes as there was a call of action to France, and France sent three French nuns to Texas because of a cholera epidemic. There was a lot of people that were suffering and needed help. So these nuns came to Texas to provide health care and to provide help to these people that were dying and getting sick. So it's really fitting that our school is currently helping with the pandemic of COVID-19, right? Many of our health professions programs are out in the field right now, taking care of those that are sick. Specifically, like for our pharmacy school, our student pharmacists are giving vaccinations for COVID at the community, where whether it's at the University of Incarnate Word's campus or clinics across the city of San Antonio. As well with the School of Osteopathic Medicine, their students are providing help. So UIW is the largest Catholic university in Texas. We offer over 90 undergraduate programs with a 14:1 student to faculty ratio, which is really good because you get that one-on-one learning, that small learning environment that can really help you and prepare you for the professional school. We have several health profession programs, including nursing, pharmacy, which I represent, physical therapy, optometry, and osteopathic medicine, which Rochelle represents. And UIW automatically awards merit-based scholarships to freshmen and transfer students with outstanding academic achievements. And they'll review your application, your high school transcripts, test scores that you want to submit. To give you an idea of what those merit-based scholarships look like, is the next slide. We'll talk about the different bands that you can be awarded. The max is 20,000 per year up to 4 years, and then the lowest is 5,000 per year up to 4 years. And when we talk about our pre-professional programs, our direct admin early connection programs, most students will receive the provost or the presidential scholarship based on the criteria that they meet. So we're looking for really high achieving students that are in high school that want to go the health professions route, and you're going to be allotted some money to pay for your education, which is really good. So UIW has several direct admit programs for each of the professions that we offer. So we're looking for highly qualified first-time freshmen interested in degrees in nursing, again, pharmacy, PT, optometry, or osteopathic medicine, as it prepares you to come to the professional school. When you apply to UIW, students that meet certain requirements will receive a special invitation to submit their interest to these programs. And then once they submit their information, the schools themselves will review the application and invite the student to an interview to see if they qualify for their direct admit program. To give you an idea of what the schools are looking for, so we have our nursing school, optometry school, and physical therapy school listed here. So most of these programs are either a 4+3 program or 4+2 program, sometimes 3+4, which means that you're completing your undergraduate in either 3 or 4 years, so your bachelor's degree. And then after that, after you complete those prerequisites, then you'll move on to the professional school to complete the professional level degree, whether it's a doctor of nursing practice, doctor of optometry to become an optometrist, or a doctor of physical therapy to become a physical therapist. And then below, you'll see some of their qualifications. For most of the schools, they're about the same requirement. So most schools are looking at a cumulative high school GPA 3.7. So when you apply for your admission to as an undergraduate student, you're submitting your high school transcript. Depending on when you apply, is probably up to your junior year of high school. If you apply later in the admission cycle, then it'll include your fall semester senior grades. So that's what they're going to be looking at. And then they're also going to look at your high school math and science GPA. So just your math and science classes you took in high school, mid to have at least a 3.7 minimum GPA. New for this or for the last couple of years is optional test scores. So if you took the SAT or ACT, you can be considered for admission if your GPA doesn't fall within those areas. You just want to talk to the school you're interested in. But some schools will be optional for those test scores. So you just want to do a little bit more research on which program you go into. And then most students have to either be ready to take either biological chemistry in the first semester or pre-calculus, depending on the program. And then you're going to interview with the faculty for that school, and they'll consider you for the direct admit program. For the School of Pharmacy, so my program, our program is a 2+4 program, which means that you don't complete a bachelor's degree. You're just completing 2 years of pre-pharmacy prerequisites. So think about like your general chemistry 1 and 2, organic chem 1 and 2, calculus, biology, anatomy, physiology. It's about 72 undergraduate credits, so 2 years of coursework. And then you're gonna after the second year, so your junior year of college, you'll start the professional PharmD program, which is 4 years long. So at the end of your freshman year of college, you start the application process to our program, which is insane, right? So fast, so early, but it is a early connection, early direct program. So it takes about 6 years to complete your 2 years of prereqs and then your 4 years of professional pharmacy school. And our criteria is a little different from the other professional programs. So we just require a cumulative high school GPA with 3.5. If you remember on the last slide, that was a 3.7 for nursing, optometry, and physical therapy. And then for the math and science GPA, we require at least a 3.3, which is again different from the other schools. And then of course the SAT and ACT is optional. We do consider students that have a lower GPA that meet the test score requirement. So maybe you didn't do too well in your classes, but you're a great test taker and you know your knowledge by test, you can still be considered for our direct admit program with those test scores listed. And then we do require students to be pre-calculus ready in the first semester of their freshman year. So that means you got to take pre-calculus in high school to be eligible for that pre-cal college level course. And of course, we'll invite you for an interview at our school. Our faculty will ask you some questions. There's some things you'll fill out and do. And then we'll review all your scores from your interview and then decide to offer you a seat in the direct admit program.
Okay, thank you, Armando. So I don't know how many of you know what osteopathic medicine, and if you need something clarified with osteopathic medicine, feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand or show your face or whatever it is that you want to do. I know that you guys are very familiar with Zoom by this time. So if you have questions for me and Armando, or especially for me, because it's osteopathic, it's a little bit different than what you're used to hearing. And if you need that clarified, then I will certainly do that for you. But like Mondo was talking about, our program is actually a 4+4. So it's a little bit longer. You are going to get your bachelor's degree on our main campus first. And then you come over to our campus and do 4 years of medical school, which is traditional for both allopathic and osteopathic. And so same thing as the others, you're going to apply while you're in high school still, typically in your junior, senior year. The biggest thing that you want to take away from me and Armando is that when you come to our health profession schools and you are accepted into the direct admit program, you waive your entrance exam to that professional school. So in my case, your MCAT is waived, which is a very big deal when you are applying for medical school. People take years and years and years to try to get an adequate score on that exam in order to be accepted to any medical school. So, and that's for across the board for all health profession schools. So if there's anything you take away from that, it's going to be that you're going to get your entrance exam waived, assuming that you qualify and you maintain everything that you would need to maintain. So you get a specific academic advisor. So it's a little bit different for you on the main campus. You're going to have an advisor that's going to really work with the professional school that you choose. So you'll have your own counselor. You do have to take seminar courses, and obviously you get exposure to faculty, students, and facilities. You'll see down here, we are at the higher end, the 3.7 GPA. We also have your science and math is also a 3.7. And then you can see down here the ACT and the SAT scores. UIW as a whole is very, very committed to volunteer and community service. So if that is the type of school that you're looking for, or if that's something that you're used to doing in your current school, then UIW is definitely one that you should consider, because across the board in all aspects of our academics, community service is very, very driven here. And so it's one of our pillars, it's one of our mission statements. And so if that's you, then we definitely want you to. I don't know if I have control of the presentation on my end.
I think you're muted, Rochelle. You're on mute.
Did I totally mute myself? Sorry.
There we go.
so maintaining, sorry about that, maintaining the program requirements. So you do have to complete the prerequisite coursework, which if you're in the direct admit, we're going to make sure that you're already maintaining that prereqs going on. The GPA too, it's not listed, the GPA specifically, because it can change in variations, but typically it's going to be a 3.7 that we're looking for. You will require a faculty interview to get accepted. And again, that community service that I was talking about before. Okay, and below here, you're going to see some pictures of some of our students, of them down here on the bottom. I guess it would be your bottom left. That is the dean of our school. She is a woman. I do like to point out that she's female, because you don't really typically find that in a medical school, a female dean. So for those that are females out there, yay. But for the most part, in a DO profession, it's very heavy in females. So the photos here just kind of speak for themselves. You see a lot of females in there. Not that we don't have males or we're opposed to the males, but that's just it. Like I said, DO in general, 65% are more female than they are male, as opposed to the allopathic way. Yeah.
You're on mute again.
Why does it mute me? Every time I click on the presentation, it mutes me. Okay, I'm not going to click presentation anymore. So, okay. So some of the benefits, obviously, in coming to any of our direct admit programs, specifically for us, pharmacy and medicine, like we said, for pharmacy, you're going to have the PCAT waive. And then for medical school, you're going to have the MCAT waive, which is a huge, huge deal. Again, you're going to have the accelerated pathway leading to a professional degree. There's not a lot of schools that offer this type of program. So if you can qualify and you can get accepted into a program like this, we cannot speak enough that this is to your benefit. There's a lot of students that I meet out there that wish they knew about a program like this. They wish they had the access to the program, because it's very extremely beneficial. Not only are you finishing early, but you're out in that career, you're making that money sooner, so it's more streamlined and it's very fast paced. On the flip side of that, you do need to be ready for these type of programs. It is a serious program. It is very competitive even as you're coming in as a direct admit. You still will be competing with other high school students as well. So like we mentioned, you're still going to go through the interview process. The scholarships speak for themselves. I mean, you're not going to be offered a lot of those scholarships in other places, but because we're a private institution, we don't limit you. And we also don't make you have to qualify as far as income wise on our scholarships. So that's another plus. A lot of people don't offer that, or state schools can't offer that. So one thing to consider. And then your reduced time in your tuition costs. Obviously, if you're, for someone like going into pharmacy, you're not having to complete a bachelor's degree. So you're saving 2 years in tuition just in that program alone. So again, another thing to consider, you get your guaranteed interviews, you get your guaranteed acceptance into the professional school. So for some, for example, we review about 5,000 applications a year. You don't have to go through that 5,000. You just really need to maintain that GPA while you're in the undergrad and make sure that you meet everything else, and then you just cross over. So again, you don't have to go through that whole that scrutiny that we go through on an application for medical school. And so obviously that would reduce your stress level. It will reduce the fees of applications. It's expensive to apply to all these schools. Nothing's free. And then you get your specialized advising and programming. You have an advisor that's really going to walk you through the process when you go to that next professional school, which you typically won't get in a state school. So that's another thing to consider. And obviously the transition. So for both, or all of them, I should say, we all have direct admit students that are in the programs currently. So we know it works. And so we kind of get you in contact with those students so that you can ask questions. You can find out what it's like for them. For the most part, for some, a lot of our direct admits are a little younger than the other classmates. And so the direct admits tend to stick to each other because you are a little bit younger than everyone else, but you also get to learn from your classmates as well. So they bring different experiences just like you do. So I think it works out in the end. And in the workplace, when you become a medical profession, you're going to have those situations where you have younger, older, someone who was ex-military, someone who's been in the corporate world. So it's just preparing you for that professional career. So cons, we say there's not many cons. Obviously you're committing to one school. I suppose if you want to see that as a con, I think for me, the way we look at it is you're already set and you just need to maintain it and you're on that surplus to getting to where you need to go. But for some people, that is a con. Maybe some people want to go to undergrad somewhere else in professional school or vice versa. You want to do the professional school here and you did your undergrad somewhere else. But again, this is a streamlined process for you. You don't have to do those entrance exams, which is huge. And it also limits you, like I said, you're a little bit younger than the other classmates, so you're going to have less experience out there when it comes to social experience. Maybe in your workforce, you're going to have different colleagues that may have been working in the workplace and this is their second career. So, you wouldn't have that per se to your benefit, but, I think it depends on how you look at it. I know in pharmacy, you have opportunities to study abroad and go different places. For some, that's not the case. So you do get different opportunities in different programs. And then it's going to be more difficult. That we're definitely not going to sugarcoat. I mean, it's not going to be easy. It's never easy when you're trying to go to medical school or pharmacy school in general. So we're no exception to that rule. But we do put it on here because you need to be ready. You need to be prepared for that type of program. You need to get your families and your friends prepared. Hey, I'm in the fast-paced pharmacy. I'm in the fast-paced to medical school. I need to stay focused. Maybe I can't go to that party or that trip or, so it's a lot of commitment on your part for sure. And so that goes into the flexibility. Like I'm telling you, you can't be as flexible as some other people. But I think if you're ready to get your career going, if you're serious about getting into the medical profession, this is certainly an opportunity for you to take advantage of. I wish they offered these when we were in high school, but so I think it's a plus all the way around, no matter which way you look at it. So direct admit is also known as early assurance program. So everyone has their name differently for them. For us, it's direct admit. Your school may call it something different. I have heard of it being referred to as an accelerated program. You see the numbers attached to it, the pathway programs, your combined MS and MD, so the Bachelor's of Science, and then your MD or the Bachelor's of Science and the Doctorate of Osteopathic. So just depends on what path you want to go, what route you want to go. If you go in the SOM path, you are going to end up with some sort of bachelor's. You don't have to have a Bachelor's of Science for SOM. I can tell you that. You do have to have a bachelor's, but you don't have to have one in science. So we will have Bachelor's of Arts here, law degrees that come through here. So there's so many different types of degrees. So don't think that you have to be an expert in science in order to come into SOM. And again, with pharmacy, you don't even have to have one. So that's a total plus there. So pipeline popularity. So here's some of the other schools that also do what we do with the direct admit. So we like to list some of our competitors out there. So again, they may be called something different. It may not be called necessarily direct admit like ours, but there's some sort of track program that they offer. And so this is a list if you want to go look them up, or if you're interested to see what they have to offer or how competitive. There's also a blog that you can go and read about. It's definitely something to look into if it's something that you're considering. Weigh out your options. Again, we are in San Antonio, as Armando stated, so it's definitely a fun city to live in. I don't know where all of you guys are chiming in from, so if you are, haven't been to San Antonio, maybe this is the time to come and visit, see the schools. Our tours, I don't know what main campus is doing yet. I can tell you for SOM in the fall, we will open it up to the public. For now, we are closed for the public and sticking to just the students who are going to come to our school. So it's a little bit limited, but as we start to open up, I'm sure main campus has a little bit of a different rules on that. I think they might be opening up more to the public on main campus.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're taking tours now.
Yes. And so are there any questions for either one of us? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be in our particular schools. I think some students tend to ask us a lot of different variations on applying for health profession schools. It could be on your personal statement, what we're used to seeing. Just trying to think of different questions that we get asked, most commonly asked questions.
Yeah, so I sit on the admissions committee for my school, so I can provide insight on what the admissions committee looks at or reviews, or if anybody has questions about like any of the health professions or anything, feel free to unmute yourself or drop a question in the chat. We're monitoring that and we'll be able to answer that for you. Or if you want to email us, because maybe you're a little shy, that's totally fine. You can send us an email. We'll be happy to respond. So I have a question in the chat. How can we stand out on a college application? That's a really good question. So I think the important thing is when you're looking at college applications and the school that you're applying to, kind of review their mission, right? See what their mission stands for, what they want to do in the world, and kind of tailor your application towards that. So for example, UIW and our School of Pharmacy, just like the other health profession schools, we're really big on service. Many of our programs are the only faith-based programs in the state or in the country for this profession. So like pharmacy, we're the only faith-based program in Texas. So we're really big on service and giving back to the community. So when I'm looking at an application, I like to see what type of service projects have the student done in the past. What are they doing now? And how can they contribute to the mission of our school? Because that's going to be important.
That's a great point, Armando. I would definitely look at their mission and see what that school represents and what they expect out of their graduates. So if you're going to put that in your application, obviously you showed that you have vested interest in that school and that you did your research in that school. So don't just go to a school because you like the name or because someone's going there. You want to research what they believe in and who they're looking for. That's a good question. Thanks, Marsha.
Yeah, that's a really great question.
Do we have any other questions? While you guys are thinking about that, Armando and I both have all of our professional schools are on social media. So I would certainly invite you to follow us on Instagram or Facebook. We do a lot of our events. We post pictures there so that you can see what a day in a life looks like for some students. What are they participating in? Things like that. So I think that we would encourage you to follow us.
Yeah. So we have another good question. What extracurricular activities look good on applications?
So I would say, Barsha, if you are a part of some sort, so depending on where you're applying. So for us, obviously, we're health professions for our schools. And so we want to look to see if you did some volunteer work, maybe along the lines with health professions, or even, like we said, even just community service as a whole. There's so much to do right now with the pandemic as far as volunteering, like for a food bank. We want to see what are you out there to give back to the community? What are you doing specifically? I would, on the same token on that, I wouldn't be doing various volunteer work. So like 2 hours here, 3 hours there, 30 minutes there. Our dean specifically likes to see consistency when it comes to volunteer work. So she wants to see more of a commitment. So maybe you volunteer at the food bank once a week or twice a week or something like that. At the same place. You know, maybe for San Antonio, there's a place called Haven for Hope where it's homeless. You can serve meals. You can refill some toiletry items, things like that. But it's still all Haven for Hope. It's just various duties that are for that specific place. So I would encourage you to, for us specifically, look for volunteer opportunities to give back to the community. Maybe you are fundraising at your high school to donate coats. You know, maybe you're in upstate, you know, one of the states that gets snow, and it's like, you know, I say that because San Antonio went through a very snow week here, and so. But if maybe you're in a place where you know it's very very cold, and you guys are collecting coats for children or babies or something, you know, that's an activity that you know all health profession schools here at UNW would look into. So those are activities that I would include in your application.
Yeah, and then being part of HOSA is a great organization to be a part of, right, in high school, especially if you're part of like a local chapter at your high school, because I think HOSA will allow you to shadow or intern in a health professions setting like a physician's office or a pharmacy. And those are things that will look good on your application when you're applying to health professions because it shows that you already experience, right, in a practice setting. You have a little bit of knowledge of what the career expects you of and a good understanding that this is a career I want to go into. That speaks volume because we know it allows the admissions committee to know that you're already dedicated and committed to the profession and you're going to do well. Another good question, how can I connect with professors for research? Send an email, right? Ask. I mean, it never hurts to ask. I always tell students, you don't know until you ask, right? Or ask one of us or the health professions admissions representative, because we know our faculty, we know who's taking students for research or in the labs, who's available in the labs, and we can connect you one-on-one with them. But it's always good just to send an email or go meet with them, schedule an appointment to talk to the professor or the researcher, see what their research entails, right? Because maybe it's not a project you enjoy. Some researchers have different projects, kind of review what they're studying, what they're researching, and see if you have an interest in it. So that way you can be really helpful in that lab.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think you definitely don't be afraid to reach out to anybody. All of the websites that we have, all of our faculty emails are on there. I think it definitely shows your interest if you email them directly. And you know, you may not hear something back maybe the first time. You know, faculty is very busy, so give them some time. Right now, this is probably the best time to bug them. It's summer, so you know, I think that if you're gonna try to email them in during the fall and you don't know if there's exam time and things like that, just give them a minute to respond. Have some patience, but I think it will show the type of individual that you are if you're taking the initiative to ask them directly, you know, how can I get involved?
Yeah. I know for like our faculty in pharmacy that are doing research in like a pharmacy setting, they love students to go on research. So they'll take on students in the summer throughout the academic year. You just gotta ask, right? And sometimes they have paid opportunities, which is great. Most of it is gonna be like volunteer, but you're getting a really good experience. So yeah, just ask your professors, see what they're researching, and see if that's something you enjoy. Say, can we access to your slides? I missed the beginning a little bit. Yeah, I can reach out to the host to see if we can send the slides. Well, I can save it really quickly and drop it in the chat box. Give me 1 second.
And while Armando's doing that, I was actually going to share with you a little bit of osteopathic. Can you see this Facebook thing here? What I wanted to show you guys is a little bit of who we are. So this is our little plug site here for Facebook. And you'll see here that we now have a mobile. This is very, very new for us at SOM. So we have a faculty member here named Dr. B, who's actually goes out and works with the homeless community, and he would provide healthcare, and he had a lot of stuff in his backpack. He'd carry a big old backpack, all the supplies in there, take a group of students. They would go out to the homeless, maybe clean up some cuts and bruises, maybe give them some insulin if they can't afford it. Provide just simple things, even just toiletry items. They make mats for them to lay on, so there's something to sleep on the ground with. Well, now he went from walking with a backpack to a mobile now unit. This obviously shows who we are. Again, Catholic school. These are the institutions that help donate to this. So the Sisters of Charity owns the University of Incarnate Wo. And then you can see here the other company that helped donate the funds to sponsor this mobile unit. So he now has a full mobile unit with all supplies where he can actually do an actual visit, like a doctor visit inside the mobile, like a clinic. So it's something really, really cool and neat that we're offering now. We're stoked about it. It's out in the community, like we said. I mean, if you haven't got anything out of this presentation, community driven, that's UIW. So this is something neat that I thought I could share with you guys, just to kind of give you an idea of what UIW represents here in San Antonio, how important we are to the city. We give back to the city. And so this is just one of many, many, many examples. Like Armando mentioned to you earlier, all of our health profession schools are helping and assisting with COVID vaccines. We provide free vaccinations for back to school students in our area that can't afford it or don't have access to healthcare. So all that will be coming back in August for our students. So just gives you a little idea of who we are.
So it looks like I'm not able to drop the file on the chat, but if anybody wants the slides, just send me a direct message, me your email, and I can email it to you today. Are there any additional questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us.
Yes, I'm going to drop in.
Thank you.
Thank you. In our chat things, I'm dropping our main website here, and that'll actually clue you in, and you can click and off the drop or the search and click in for any of the schools if you want to visit them, in particular their website. All right, well, nice meeting all of you. Good luck. Thank you. I hope you have a good day too, Maria. How long is the optometry program? Good question. So optometry is another program that does not require a bachelor's degree, I believe. And let me see, do you remember, Armando, how long their program is? I think I have a little.
I believe it's about 3 years.
I want to say it's 3 years too. And looking, I had a little cheat sheet before with all our professional schools, because as you know, there's an Armando and a Rochelle in all the other health profession schools. So nursing has one, optometry has one. But let me look really quickly. I always have a little cheat sheet on all the schools because we can't have them all memorized. So it's a 4-year program, but like Armando's program, you do not have to have a bachelor's degree. So they do have prereqs. And again, on that main website, you can click on optometry and it'll take you to their website. And there's about 68 in their class size. So they have an 8-to-1 student ratio, which is really, really great. They're also heavy in the female. And your board exam is in North Carolina. So for optometry, it's only in one location only in the US. I think that's about all I really have on optometry. I hope that answers your question. You're welcome. They do open their application season in July, just so you know, the regular, but for direct admit like this you want to do it in the spring when you're in high school, if you're in high school. But if you're not in high school, then their season starts in July. So they will be very busy pretty soon. Does anybody else have any questions before we sign off? The shy ones that ask when everyone's gone.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming.
Y'all have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.